Yo, GDR here in beautiful Jamaica with a question from the Mountain Shadow from a really interested reader in this. The reader has gone into some detail asking about, is Idriss a real person? And what is the philosophy of Idriss? Is it yours? Is what Idriss says what you believe? Idriss is not a real person. Let's look at the name for a start. Idriss means studious, learned. It's, by the way, Arabic and Welsh. Fascinating. Idriss is studious, learned, scholarly. Also, it can mean the one who interprets, which is in a sense what a spiritual teacher does. It's interpreting this reality and another reality for you until you can interpret it for yourself. So I took that as the name for Idriss, a created character. I wanted a character who's full of contradictions. He says, you are your own guru. There are no gurus. And he's a guru. But he says this, and so on. So I wanted him to be full of contradictions. Many of the things he says are not what I would say or the way I would say it, because they're what he would say. I spent a lot of time investing this character with parts of many, many teachers I'd met over the years and putting them together, the most benign and gentle, but at the same time strong and filled with virtue. These characteristics, I pulled them together in one person who was quirky and strange and so on. And I channeled a couple of actors to get my character together. And I put an actor together who, for me, was Idriss. Do you want to know who it was that I had on my character wall? That in my mind was Idriss. Naziruddin Shah was Idriss for me. And I had 20 pictures of him on my wall in different expressions, from serious to laughing and funny, and I used those and channeled them to make this character. So Idriss is a created character. Do I agree? Well, let's take a bit of Idriss from the Mountain Shadow, all right, so you get the point on this. And thank you for your question. All right, so Idriss says, that's why agnostics have a softer landing. There's a bit before that, but you can read that. That's why agnostics have a softer landing than atheists when the divine speaks to them. Lynn says, the divine speaks? See, Len, this little rebel-y guy who thinks he's a rebel against everything? Okay, as I was, and I used to be? Okay. The divine speaks every day to everyone through the soul. Okay, I said. It's actually Lynn, I'm reading this. Okay, I said, more confused than when I'd asked the question. Maybe I'll put that one in the later file. I'm sorry for the intrusion. Stop apologizing. I asked you to define complexity. Well, and this is for all you complexity guys out there, because this is from the Mountain Shadow. Well, Carterby never let me pin him down on that. I asked him a few times, but he always slipped away. What are your thoughts? My thoughts? My thoughts. And this is Len thinking, my thoughts. I wanted to be with Carla. I wanted to know that she was safe, and I had to be on the mountain. I wanted to listen to the teacher rather than talk, but I'd learned after 3 days of discussion that there was no escape from the fortress of his mind. I took a sip of water and put the glass back on the table beside the other object carefully and threw my hat into the psychic ring. At first, I started thinking of complexity as being about complicated things, and it goes on from there. When the character Lynn is saying this about complexity, it's a small part of what I think, but it's actually Lynn's bit, because he's a rebellious guy, and he doesn't want to accept the whole of anything, any religion, any way of life, anything. He's a standalone guy. So his version of complexity then relates in the Mountain Shadow as sort of crystallizing what Carter Khan taught him. His version of that is the characters, because Lynn is a character in this book. He's not me. In life, I have to say, I was, in a way, nicer than Lynn. You have to be if you're on the run. If you're not nice, people don't help you when you're on the run. I was nicer than Lynn, and he's a bit curmudgeonly from time to time, and kind of surly every now and then. And I was more dangerous than he is, the character. I led a very wild life, and I was living on the edge of it, and I was ready to live or die every single day. You don't really get that from Lynn so much in the book, because he's a character, and that's not me. So those exchanges with Idriss are part of an exchange with a fictional character. What he says, not necessarily what I believe. What I believe, I say, and I tell you what I believe in the simplest terms that I can to explain what I believe. And I always tell you, it's just me. I'm just one person. I'm not saying anyone should agree with or believe what I say. These are just my thoughts, and if you ask me. So, the Mountain Shadow, Idriss, created character, has his own thoughts, but so does Lynn. Big up and one love from Jamaica.